quickly using any style of nunchucks. You can have a long chain, a short chain, a long string, short string. You can have foam, you have metal, wood, doesn't matter. Grab your nunchucks in the middle. You're gonna start learning how to use your nunchucks. This is a beginner nunchucks lesson. You're going to the outside of your body in what's called an orbital spin. So it turns out with just this small motion of your wrist. There are two ways. You can go forward or you can go backwards. I'm gonna start forward first and then go backwards. Go forward, go backward. Now you're gonna stay forward. You're gonna turn your palm over. You're gonna do it on the inside of the body. Turn your palm up, turn your palm down, up, down, put it together, and you have a figure eight motion. You're gonna do this for at least 30 seconds to get warmed up in your wrist and your forearm. You're gonna start to activate the muscles in your shoulder. After that, bring it to a stop in reverse, pulling back. Turn your palm over, pulling back, palm up, palm down. Always keep this hand out of the way. Up and down. Now you've got your reverse figure eight motion. Whack myself a little bit in the arm there. Hey, Raquel Emerson's here. It's good to see you. Went side to side. Put it into your other hand, palm up. We do the same thing on both sides evenly. You're always gonna do the same thing with the right and with the left. If you have two pairs, you can do them at the same time. Palm up, palm down. You do it on each side just a couple times, hit myself there. And then you put it together, going side to side. Don't be afraid to hit yourself with your nunchucks. This beginner nunchuck lesson is gonna require that you smack yourself a couple times. That's gonna help you learn faster. You're gonna pull it in reverse. It's not gonna kill you. You're not gonna bleed. You might get a bruise, depending on where you hit yourself, depending on what your chucks are made out of. Turn your palm over. This is the reverse spin. Palm up, palm down, up and down. There we have that reverse spin. And you only have to do it like 30 seconds or so on each side. Go back to the first hand, hold it at the very end. This is how you hold it for self-defense. You're gonna practice a follow-through vertical strike coming down through the center line of the body. Express mates here, good to see you. Going down and up. The other hand's always up and to the side of your face so that you can guard yourself. This is a self-defense tool. Hey David, it's good to see you. Going up and down. Full extension on your strike. You're just gonna do this a few times and you're gonna go into a diagonal strike across the body. And then you're gonna bring it to the other shoulder and you're gonna bring it on the other side, diagonal strike. Then your palm is gonna face the sky and you're gonna bring it across this way. David asked, he says he's 15, what life advice? David, tell the truth. Number one, be honest. Find yourself in any bad situation. Best way out of it is through the truth. Finding the truth, seek the truth. That's my number one. Hey, Tomo is here. It's good to see you, Tomo. We're going over and back. Now you're gonna take those three basic strikes. You've got the vertical or the diagonal strike, the horizontal strike, and then up and down. You're gonna hold it right in the middle. You're starting a new year. Happy New Year. Starting a new year off right, training. And this we call the Bruce Lee triangle. It's just going over to the side and up. Pelican's here, Michael's here, it's good to see you. Coming here and up. Bruce Lee triangle, simple move. It's three strikes. It's that diagonal strike, horizontal, vertical. Put it in your other hand. Again, hold it at the very end. We're gonna practice this as we get ready for self-defense. Hey, Winston's here. He says, good teacher, thank you, I appreciate that. Just up and down. Good teachers need good students. So I appreciate you being here and training with me this morning. From here, you're going into your diagonal strike across the body. And then from there, you're gonna come up to the other one. Michael says he doesn't see the thumbs up on the side. I don't know where they are, where they put them, they change them all the time, but I appreciate you being here anyway. Big Daddy Hung's here. Good to see you. Coming across. Happy New Year. And then side to side, palm facing up as you come across, palm facing down as you come back. You always want to make sure you're doing those things. Yeah, Flavius says Bruce Lee moves. These are the basics. You're gonna now hold here in the middle. Yeah, John says just double tap the screen. That gives you a thumbs up. Appreciate that, John. Side to side. Bruce Lee triangle is that here, here, and here. James asks, are these legal to use? Depends on where you live, so you need to research for yourself. Are you able to use nunchucks for self-defense? Are you allowed to carry them? Can you have them outside the house? Can you even own a pair? Where I live, yes, these are legal to use. You can carry them. Now, if you were to go fight, seeking a confrontation, try to hit somebody with it, out of anger or because you're a punk or whatever, you're gonna get in trouble no matter what. So whether illegal or not, any weapon, you can pick up a stick or a rock or close your fist and attack somebody and you're gonna get in trouble for that. But whether you're allowed to have them or not, that's a different question. And there was for years and years, in certain places they were illegal, but that's like a long time ago. But those rumors have persisted. People say, oh, you can't own those in California, they're illegal. No, they're not. You gotta look it up. Usually a lot of places where you live, they're not illegal, but there might be. They might be illegal. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a police officer. Don't take my advice. I'm not telling you you can have them or not. I'm just gonna show you how you can use them. So we're going over and back, side to side. Now, the next thing I want you to do is go into the orbital motion to the outside of your body. You're gonna come to the top of, hey, 777 or 778's here. You're going to the top and the back of the arm. And when you bring it in here, you're gonna allow that to bounce back there and you're gonna pinch it down, squeezing. And then at the same time, you're gonna put tension by pushing your wrist forward and you're gonna squeeze, tension, and release. So this is also a Bruce Lee move. It's a couple of orbital spins. That's how we warmed up. That was part of your figure eight. We go back to the orbital. We hit the front and the back of the upper arm. When it comes in, squeeze it down, squeeze, squeeze, pushing here, and then pop it coming out. Nickel Rottweiler is here. Have I ever had to use them to defend myself? Not really for self-defense. I did fight with them when I was a kid. And then we used to mess around with them. We had nice, hard, padded versions, not like the soft ones like to get the little kids, but the ones you can actually fight with. And I fought with a bunch of those, but more for fun and to mess around with them. Personally, for self-defense, I would use fists and elbows. And if I needed a tool, I would use a walking stick or a walking cane. That would be my recommendation. But they're a lot of fun to, have I ever hit myself with them, James asks. Thousands of times, James. I've hit myself, I've busted my lip, I've hit myself in the head, I've hit my elbows probably hundreds of times each, hit that funny bone in there. I've gotten plenty of bruises. I go and I wash my hair the next morning and I find sore spots because I whacked myself in the head. I've never died though. So, hey Maddie, it's good to see you. Yeah, John says he has the oak octagon chucks. Those are what I started with. They were old tomato steaks. We would cut them in half and string them ourselves and make our own. All right, so holding it back in the middle, the Bruce Lee move, we do 2 orbitals, 1, 2, we hit the front and the back of the tricep, squeeze it down, pop, and then do it again, a couple of spins, a couple of the arm, under, squeeze, squeeze, and you don't have to do it exactly that way, but that's one way that you could practice a Bruce Lee move. A couple of spins, front and back of the arm, squeezing, squeeze, pop. Always use both hands evenly, spin it, arm, squeeze, squeeze, pop. But it's more fun when you start to put these moves together and you now know 3 solid tricks. 4, if you count the orbital. This is the most basic. So that's 1. There's 2. There's 3, which is really 3 strikes. And here is 4, squeeze, squeeze, pop. And I'm gonna show you now number 5. Number 5 is gonna be switching from one hand to the other. And this is as simple as doing a reverse strike and come up here. Taekwondo yellow tagsters here. Hello, it's good to see you. Coming across and then reaching in. I've often thought if I went to a tablet, like maybe I've got a bunch of old iPads. Can you defend yourself against Chuck Norris? I don't think so. 1, because he's like 90 years old. So I don't know, and I don't think he can kick above his knee. I can't either. I'm not making fun of Chuck because my hip's all busted up too, and I can't get it up that high anyway or anymore either. Not until I'm going to get the hip replacement coming up here in March. I'll get my kicks back after that, because I do run into Bill Superfoot Wallace down here, and Bill Superfoot Wallace has had he's had both hips replaced twice, so he had the revision, and he's kicks, bam, bam, bam. He's still kicking up here at 80. So we're going side to side. The real question is, could Bill Wallace and Chuck Norris survive a fight? I know Bill Wallace is still working out. I'll bet Chuck Norris is too. Boxer Rocky moved down here too. Rocky's around. Rocky's in town. Mike Tyson's in town. All the old geezer fighters are down here in South Florida, Palm Beach County. So you went side to side. You bring it up here. This comes across. And you grab it. Sotokan Karate is here. I don't even know how you say it. Anyway, it's good to see you. Sergeant James is here. We got a lot of conversation about Chuck. Yeah, he is a humble person. When I started a nonprofit martial arts school in Ohio almost 30 years ago, I went to Texas, to Dallas, to see Chuck Norris's Kick Drugs Out of America program. That's what he called it back then. Now it's just Kick. And that guy opened school after school after school. And then the George Bush Sr., the guy who ran the whole Epstein operation out of the White House. Let's not talk politics. I'm going to get kicked off. Anyway, this funny thing was, I was thinking about this the other day. I worked with the money guy, Victoria's Secret dude. I can't think of his name. I taught his kids in Ohio at the martial arts school, 3 out of the 5. Not George Soros, the other guy. Anyway, you guys, some of you know who I'm talking about. Les Wexner, coming across the body. So you're coming this way, cross here, coming this way. When you get it here, you just drop it down, you reach in front, and then you bring it up to the other side over here. How long have I done this, James asks. James, I've been doing this since I think I got my first nunchucks when I was 11, and I'm almost 55. So that's a long time. I'll let you do the math. But you're coming from one side, reaching across to the other side, from one side. And there were years where I made a commitment to practice every single day on at least, I did push-ups, sit-ups, squats every single day. And then I would pick up the bow staff first, and then I would finish my workout with the nunchucks. And then I'd do all my punsei or kata, or whatever you want to call it. I did that for years, just to see if consistent training made a difference. And guess what? It really does. So, oh, cool. Joshua says he's first dan black belt. Congratulations on your first dan. Keep training. So you're coming from one side to the other side, and then to reverse it, you turn that reverse diagonal into a forward diagonal, and then when you get to the other hand, the back of your wrist is going to hit the bottom of that elbow, and you're just going to pop it, boom, straight up. So you come across, oh cool, we're the same age. Across, coming up. Anyway, so yeah, I went down I didn't meet Chuck Norris when I went down that time. I met him at tournaments many times over the years. Same thing with Bill Wallace. First time I met Bill Wallace was at his tournament back when he was in Indiana, because I grew up in Ohio. And if you don't know where they are, they're right next to each other. That's back when the martial arts world was so small that you could see all your heroes from the movies and the TV shows at all the tournaments. I think they probably still do that. I'll bet Scott Adkins and Donnie Yen and those guys still go to tournaments, whether they're in the States or abroad. Michael Jai White. That's a good question. Who would win in a fight? Michael Jai White or Bruce Lee? If Bruce Lee were still alive. If they were the same age. For that matter, who would win? Put it in the comment section. Is it Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris? I know there was a movie. They fought each other in a movie. But let's talk about back in the day when Chuck Norris was competing in the professional karate circuit. Around the same time Bruce Lee would have been coming up in the movies, I guess. I know there was that demo with the 1-inch punch on. I can't think of anybody. Joe Lewis. Can't think of anybody's names today. I wasn't there. I just saw the footage. All right, coming across. I do want to show you these because so this is what you're trying to do. What you're trying to accomplish. Yeah, Bruce Lee was fast. Is building skill on skill, stacking a bunch of skills so that when you pick up your chucks, you have something to practice. 1, you can build your own workout. 2, get faster. 3, get better faster. So starting with your orbital spin, and you're over to the other side of the body, orbital spin, and then next, your figure 8, and then your Bruce Lee triangle, and then back to the orbital and the upper arm, and then the squeeze, and then the pop, and then the hand transfer, and then the forward hand transfer, and just for fun, adding a spin into a vertical strike. So this is a vertical strike down, that's coming up. So adding a spin down and spin up, or you can do a spin into a hand transfer, an orbital spin. So you can add those orbital spins into just about any technique, or it's a transition. So you can go from one skill to another skill, or one trick to another trick. You do a spin first. I'm gonna digress real quick. Can I teach a class? Yeah, James, I teach, all my classes are online now. These are my classes. So if you're with me, if you wanna go back, grab yourself a pair of chucks, rewatch this video, this is the class. If we were together, I'd be yapping at you the same way. If we were in person. I'd tell you the story too. I was just over in the comment section on the Facebook, and it was a video, it had a lot of views. It was a video of me spinning a staff, kind of up close. It was like a snippet of a video, it was a short or a reel, or what do they call them over there. And I was just showing people how to use the staff, how to spin a staff. Now I know, and you know, that you don't spin a staff to defend yourself. You stand behind the staff, you point it, and then you thrust, or you hit him in the face, or you smash him through his teeth for self-defense. Same way with the nunchucks, you're not gonna start doing wrist rolls, I almost lost it, and then, wrist roll and throw and catch. That's why you don't do it for self-defense, because you're gonna drop it, and then you won't have chucks, and he's gonna punch in your face. But let me grab my chucks. Anyway, the comment was, that's not gonna stop a bullet, spinning the staff. And it just always cracks me up. It's like, why do you think, because you and I don't think this way, why do they think, people who see this and they feel like, oh, that's not gonna stop a 45 ACP full metal jacket, why do they think that was the intent of learning how to use nunchucks like Bruce Lee? I learned how to use nunchucks like Bruce Lee because I thought it was cool and it looked neat. I never once thought about, some guy breaks into the house in the middle of the night, everybody's asleep, I hear him, I wake up, I grab my chucks from under the bed because I had to hide them so my mom wouldn't throw them away. And then I run down the hallway with a high-pitched scream, which I probably could do when I was a little kid. At 11 years old, the guy's cracking off rounds, and I'm just smacking this one, hitting that one, until I get close enough that I can knock him out. Did you ever think of that? Sergeant James is second dan, but before I stopped giving a poo, I think I made it to 5th, that's before I really stopped. But before I stopped, like getting the rank and doing all that stuff, I finished at like 7th dan, 7th degree. But it doesn't matter. To me, it really doesn't matter anymore. And it's only because I've been around for so long. And I've seen how everybody gets their rank and how everybody makes their rank. Not everybody, there's still some really good, solid organizations, but the most of them, I've been at the Kukkiwon in Korea, and those who Taekwondo people know what Kukkiwon in Korea means, watching the guys with their bellies out to here, especially the ones from India and Bangladesh. I don't know why that's a thing. I know why that's a thing, because it's highly respected. So these guys go over there and they pay a lot of money to the Koreans who run the Kukkiwon, whichever group is, Kwan is running it now. I don't know, I don't really care. And they take that money and they fill out the dan paperwork. And then all of a sudden the guy's a 6th, 7th, 8th dan. Because when he goes back to India, he's gonna make more money for that. And that's not the only reason, but that was a big thing. Just seeing the way everything changed over the years. And so I do respect when somebody works so hard and they get their belt. So I'm not trying to discourage you or downgrade what you've accomplished, because I value it very much. And I always had an organization where if you came in with a third dan, fourth dan, first dan, eighth dan, maybe not eighth dan. There was also the joke, you leave Gimpo Airport. A lot of the Koreans would leave Gimpo Airport back when they flew out of Gimpo and not Seoul, or wherever it is in Seoul. The Gimpo Airport, they would land in the United States. They would leave as a fourth dan because everybody got it by the time they graduated high school. And they would land in the United States as an eighth dan. So a lot of the Korean instructors, especially the younger guys, would come over here. And I took over a school from a guy. And he still had I paid him $1. And he hid all of his debt thinking I wouldn't find it. Paid him $1 for his school. He had no paying students, except he did. They were all paying him, even though I was teaching him for months before I found out. And on his wall, he had his Kukiwan Dan rank certificate. And he had cut out a piece of paper. It didn't even match. The color didn't even match. And it had a 7. And then he taped it to over top. And when you peeled off the 7, it said 2, second dan. And I read Korean. And it says right on the certificate that he's a second dan. It was just the 7 for the Americans who were looking at it saying, oh, wow, this guy's a 7th dan black belt. They pay him my money. Anyway, I really digressed there. I wanted to show you the wrist roll. All right. Coming over, in case you're trying to learn and you just don't want to hear my grandpa stories, coming over the back of the hand. I've never heard of Pratt's Karate Club. Sergeant James asks. But yeah, there are a lot of great schools, and a lot of guys have gotten to the point where they realize it's 2026 today, first day, 2026. The world is small. You can learn so much online. You can travel easier than ever. You can video conference somebody. You can FaceTime someone and learn something new. You don't have to be stuck in whatever the master said it was. And it's like sometimes, and that's another argument. I would go into martial arts schools where I've known so many martial arts school owners who will tell their students, you can't learn that, you can't learn that. That's not as good, or that guy's not as good, or you've got to learn this first. And there is something to be said for building a foundation and learning your basic skills in this martial art and getting really good at it. And then go add on to it. Like if you're a striker, if you do taekwondo or bangsudo or traditional karate and you don't know how to sprawl and stop someone from taking you to the ground, you're at a great disadvantage. You're going to get your butt kicked in a street fight or in a self-defense if you don't know how to stop somebody from taking you to the ground. I don't care how good your punches and kicks are. The Gracies proved that in the 80s. They proved it to all of us. I was around when that happened. They started going to tournaments and choking people out. And then everybody figured out what they did. People started to cross-train. They'd do some Muay Thai, some kickboxing, some traditional kicking like Taekwondo or karate. They'd do boxing. And then they would learn judo, jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, especially Brazilian jiu-jitsu, or good Western-style wrestling. And then they would learn the rules, and then they wouldn't be so easy to take down. And then the punching came back. And things went back and forth, and now it's kind of equalized where you've got to be good at kicking, punching, grappling. You've got to be able to fight standing and fight on the ground. And if you're not, you're at a deficit. When it comes to competitive, now that's not the same thing as self-defense. Self-defense is completely different rules. All right, so we're doing this wrist roll. Sorry. Yeah, Inert Name says it's too much to learn. It really isn't. So the Gracies created this program, and I'm not a huge Gracie fan per se, but I do respect the way they've codified their ground combatives or their basic level of self-defense that they teach, especially to like women and nurses. They do a lot with law enforcement nurses, and they teach them the basics of how not to get taken to the ground, and if you do, what to do. So you can learn that small sliver. You can learn some good boxing, learn how to throw a punch. And I also believe in martial arts, if you're serious about self-defense, you need to be getting hit. And you need to hit in the face. Not just the Krav Maga, we all line up and then punch each other in the chest until we get to the back. Or not just the 100-man Kyokushan or Kyokushin, kicking the baseball bat, kumite, 100-man kumite, where it's the same thing. I mean, and that's rough, that's brutal, and they're kicking the leg and doing all this stuff, but they're not punching you in the face. You need to learn how to get punched in the face, in my opinion and experience. I could be totally wrong, it might not work for you. That's just what works for me. All right. Now, the wrist roll, I'll get off my soapbox. I'll leave that alone. We'll go back to a figure 8 spin. And when you're on the opposite side of the body, this is your right hand, when you're on the left side of your body, don't let it hit you in the eye. You're gonna do a spin till you're here, and then you're coming back this way. Yeah, Spencer says 3-section staff is his favorite. I also like the 3-section staff. It's very unwieldy until you can learn how to wield it. So you do a wrist roll, and when you're in the opposite hand, or the same side of the body, right hand, right side, you wrist roll back. So we do wrist roll, wrist roll. So if you're now just joining us, let's start from the beginning. I'm gonna show you real quick. Yeah, join me here for free online. Don't ever send me $1 if you don't need to. And you do all these classes for free. I'll be your sensei, Sifu, guru, not Dosanim, Sabam. I'll be your Sabam-nim, that's what the Koreans say. Sabam is like Mr. Teacher, professor, the Latins like to call it professor. I don't know if Latins is the right term. So we do figure 8, Bruce Lee triangle, orbital, upper arm, pinch, pop, back to the figure 8, wrist roll. Oh, got my chain there. Wrist roll, wrist roll. I'm a little off today, Bruce Lee triangle. Oh, hand-to-hand transfer. Trying to remember, and then you can do the spin down, spin up, you do a spin, and you just work all those basic techniques together. Yeah, teacher maestro. Athar Bokhari is here. Yeah, we haven't even started talking about all the great Indian martial arts, like Silambam and Kirapati and all that. Can I do them blindfolded? Yeah, I can do it. I haven't done them in a while blindfolded, but there was a time when we would do demonstrations and put on a blindfold and do all this stuff, kick the apple out of the air with a spinning hook kick. I couldn't spin hook kick today to save my life. I was at the gym earlier trying to squat and this bottle as low as I got. I do want to show you how to throw it and catch it though. We'll trade that for the blindfold. So from here, you're doing a clockwise in the right hand, and when you let it go, you're gonna catch it in the right hand with palm facing down. So you're gonna let it go over here at about 10, 11 o'clock, and you're gonna catch over here 1 or 2 o'clock. Palm up, palm down. So this is the same hand, you let it go and catch it. Before you catch it though, it has to do a full rotation, and you're gonna catch it here. So I'm holding here, I throw it, and I'm catching the same stick with the same hand. Then with the left hand, you do the same thing but counterclockwise. Let it go about 1, catch it at 10. Then go back to the right hand and you're going to spin with the right. When you let it go, you're gonna catch it with the left with the palm facing up. Athar Bokhari says he's been watching for many years. Hey, thank you so much. Mohammed says, fat boy, fat man. Thank you, Mohammed. How many? I'm not going to start with the Mohammed jokes. All right, so we're going this way, and we're catching with this hand. Then we're reversing it, and we're catching it with this hand. We spin it this way, catch it with this hand, reverse it this way, and catch it with the other hand. Then I'm going to go into, no, Muhammad, I'm not going to make fun of Muhammad. Not you, Muhammad, not my neighbor, Muhammad, not the prophet Muhammad. We're not making any Muhammad jokes. What are we doing? Legends, I'm getting distracted. I'm getting distracted trying to show you how to use some basic, I know you're joking, I'm just joking too. Doing some nunchucks. Yeah, roll hits with nunchucks. So we're gonna go through, back to the figure eight. When you're on the left side of the body with the right hand, so when you're on the opposite side, you're really just making an orbital spin, a big one, that's clockwise. When you throw it, you're gonna catch it with your other hand. Then you're gonna switch the feet, so the left foot's forward, when the left hand's forward, and when it's on the right side, there's your spin, and you're gonna catch it. Then you're gonna get rid of the extra spins and just throw and catch, throw and catch. And eventually, you want to throw it and try not to look back. I'm having a hard time not looking back, but try not to look back, work up to that. Going side to side, throw and catch, throws and catch. All right, so for quick review, we start with the orbital. This is where I want you to practice. Build your own workout. Once you go through each one of these, then freestyle, start to put them all together. First is the orbital spin, palm down, palm up, then figure eight. Then practice your basic strikes. When you do that, hold it here the way you would if you were defending yourself for maximum power because you have more leverage. Follow through on your strikes, vertical down, palm up, vertical up. Then diagonal on the same side to the opposite side, and then diagonal on the other side to the same side, and then horizontal from side to side. Once you've done those three kinds of strikes, a vertical, a diagonal, and both, I always do both directions, and then a horizontal, go back to the middle, or if you want, you can do close to chain. We didn't talk about that. This is for self-defense, this is for tricks, this is definitely for tricks. This is for speed. You watch the Bruce Lee movies, he's always holding here, because it's old school. This is the way we always did it old school. If you look at guys now at tournaments or demonstrations and they're showing off, or the movies now, they're holding here or they're holding here because you have more control. The chains are usually shorter, which is called a speed chuck, but they all kind of work. Have I ever tried punching through a piece of paper? I have many, many times punched through pieces of paper for different reasons, but yes. So holding it in the middle, I'm gonna go across, back, and up. Sorry, I got distracted again. Bruce Lee triangle. Then I want you to do the orbital spin to the outside, the upper arm, the pinch down, pop them in the face for self-defense, and then hand-to-hand transfer in reverse, and then hand-to-hand transfer forward, and then at some point add an extra spin to make it look cool. And then if you want, you can do this, and then that. And then back to your figure eight and to a wrist roll and a wrist roll, and then throw it and catch it. And we did that slowly. Slowly we built it up from the same hand catch to the opposite hand catch, and then we went into a throw and catch. And that's just some of the tricks. But if you get that solid foundation down, everything comes easy after that. And then you can work a whole bunch of stuff over and over. So Real Jack Matt says, one strike with these, you can knock somebody out. And with these, you probably could because they are heavy. And you could also cut them with the tip. So what's the point of all the other moves? Just for fun. Just for fun. This is not self-defense. This is definitely not self-defense. It's just for fun. So that's the whole point of the moves. Not everything has to be self-defense. It's like the guys with the bow staff or any martial arts staff, really. They, especially the Joe, the bow. The Joe's the 54-inch, bows usually 72-inch. And the purists will say, you can't spin with that. You can't teach people how to spin. They'll get killed. I'm like, they're not walking around. You're not carrying these into a fight intentionally, not intentionally. If you are, there's something wrong with you. You shouldn't be going out looking for fights with people with these. You're certainly not going to pull this out in a gunfight. You're not going to whip your bow. You're not going to be walking down the street like the Grand Wizard of Oz or whatever. No, that was the The Grand Wizard, that sounds like that other organization that's not good. The Wizard, who's the Wizard? Those goofy movies with the hobbits and stuff. You know what I'm talking about. Like the Wizard with the magic. Yeah, Gandalf. Not the Wizard of Oz, Gandalf. You're not Gandalf getting ready to zap some people with your laser staff or something, or your lightning staff, right? That's not the point. But you might want to learn how to do some of the techniques because you enjoy it. And it's fun, and it keeps your shoulders healthy, and it improves your mental focus, and it gives you better coordination. And then if you do fight, and you learn how to fight with your elbows and your knees and your feet and your fists, you learn how to grapple, it might make you better with all those things too, because you have better proprioception. Proprioception is the mind-muscle connection, right? You have better timing and distance. You have better spatial awareness. Every time you're doing this, you whack yourself in your elbow, or you put your hand in the wrong spot and you whack yourself in the back of the head, you learn something. And maybe that's why you do it. It's like a boxer. A boxer skips rope, right? You learn how to skip rope, not because you're going to take the rope into the ring with a Muhammad Ali and start smacking him with it. He's going to take your rope away and smash you in your face. You go in the ring with the gloves on. You don't bring the speed bag into the ring. That's all cross training. This is all cross training. So if you're a martial artist and you're serious and someone's making fun of you saying, oh, you're going to bring those nunchucks to a gunfight? You say, no, stupid. They're for fun. You missed the point. It's because I go to the gym and I lift weights so that I'm healthy and strong and I don't get old so fast. I'm not walking around punching people with barbells. Not that lifting weights is good for self-defense. It'll slow you down. Some of it's good. You just don't want to go too far and get too big, in my opinion. Anyway, you guys have been awesome. Thanks so much for being here. Yeah, the back of your head does hurt after a while when you smack yourself. Silent Walk, great to see you. I've been cracking myself up all morning reading the comments. I don't know why. I normally don't even look at the comments because I just don't have time. I look for the positive ones and people who have real questions and I try to answer those. But yeah, some people, especially if you're like, I don't know, if you're a 13-year-old kid in Pakistan and you live mostly in the street and you don't have running water or electricity, but you have a smartphone, or you're in Nigeria, or you're in Cebu, or you're out in the forest somewhere and everybody's got smartphones now and they've seen clips of things, you might think you can fight with nunchucks, right? Or you're a kid and you just don't know much. But once you reach a certain age, you realize, and you can fight with them. That's another mistake people say, oh, you can't fight with that. That's a trash weapon. You don't know what you're talking about. You can hold this one especially, right here. And I wish you could feel how heavy these are and what they're made out of. And you can bring this through with the correct technique. And you can stand here, and as he's coming in to close the distance, and you can reach out and smash him across his face. It might not kill him, but it's certainly going to do something. These, this is a machined aluminum that can cut the flesh. If you do it correctly, and if you've trained like Kali, Salat, Eskrima, you know how to do Filipino martial arts, you know how to fight with sticks. That's just a stick with a string in the middle. That'll slice somebody. That can smash something out of someone's hand. That can break those smaller bones close to the wrist. That can break some of the bones on the finger. That can certainly smash his nose, pop his eye out of his face, knock a tooth out. That can hit him in the neck. If you do it correctly and follow through, you might hit the nerve and knock him out. So it is possible. Is it the best option for self-defense? No, it's not. Can you bring this to a gunfight? If he's over there and you pull out your, no, you're gonna get shot. Don't be stupid. If you go after a cop and you attack him with one of these and he has to defend himself and he can't taser you fast enough and he can't pepper spray you, he is probably gonna shoot you. So yeah, don't bring your nunchucks to a gunfight. But that wasn't the point. The point is learn how to use nunchucks and have fun with them. That's all it is. Oh, thank you, John. John says, I haven't lost any hair, I don't have a double chin, and I'm in shape. That is all intentional, but the hair part, watch. I've lost a lot of hair up there. You just don't see it because I'm tall. Get the camera angle, right? If the camera was looking down, you'd see all that bald spot. My daughter points it out to me all the time. And it's getting grayer and all that stuff. But it happens. It happens to all of us. There's no use fighting it. But you should still, like this morning, I did my push-ups, I did my sit-ups, I did my squats. And I'm starting to do, I got myself a little step for Christmas. I'm doing my step-ups again to try to get my lower half stronger again because I've had so much challenge with pain. But we got to do something. Anyway, Just College says, don't have the guts to get the metal ones. Work yourself up to it. And you don't have to. You don't ever have to get the metal ones. If the metal ones aren't for you, stay with the wood. Do what you want or whatever. Real Jack Matt, we're all about the same age. I'll be 55 this month. So this is the month of my birthday in 29 days. We're the same age. So, yeah. And you know what? I'll tell you the secret. I don't really talk about it because that's not what my channel's about. I quit eating all carbs. I don't eat a vegetable. I don't even look at a vegetable. And I did for a while. I went high-fat carnivore diet, which is all meat. Right before I came out here, I had half a pound of beef, browned leftover taco meat from 2 nights ago. For breakfast, I had leftover steak and a couple of eggs with a lot of butter. In my coffee, I put in a little bit of butter and cinnamon for the blood sugar, and then MCT oil, and it's stirred up really well. And I eat nothing but beef, butter, eggs, bacon, not a lot of bacon. I used to, but I cut back on it. And a little bit of cheese. And the cheese doesn't mess, when I would eat carbs, the cheese would mess with my stomach. Cheese doesn't even bother me anymore. But I switched to that, and I'm leaner than I've ever been, healthier. I have no inflammation. I don't have the kind of pain that I used to have, except for in my hips and my knees, because there's so much degeneration in there that have to be addressed medically or surgically. But other than that, I'm leaner than I've ever been. I'm leaner than I was like 5 years ago. If you go back on my channel 10 years ago, you'll see how much chubbier I was. And I've lost a lot of that, and I've done nothing but just eat meat. So the question is, how long will it take to learn Nunchaku? I guarantee you, if you go back and you do the exercises I showed you in this video for just each exercise, 1 or 2 minutes a day, so for a total of maybe 10 to 15 minutes a day, for 6 weeks, you'll look really good. And then you just build on top of that. Fishing, just sub, thank you so much, I appreciate that. But if you're older like me and you're looking, or even younger, and you've been eating a traditional American diet, what they call the SAD diet, the American diet, which is full of processed foods and seed oils and gluten, everything's sprayed with gluten. I went to the Costco to get some food the other day, and we only eat sourdough bread. I don't, my kids and my wife do. And they have gluten bread. So they take the sourdough and they put gluten into the sourdough. They spray the flour with more gluten, and that wrecks your stomach, and it makes you hard to digest, and that's what causes all the inflammation. That's just one of them. Anyway, the point is, when I started doing that, I leaned out very quickly. Someone asked me to move the nunchucks, and I realized I was moving too much. All right, Zarak, thanks for being here. If you want to see all the workout that we just did, please rewatch this one when we're done. I know some of you guys are coming in at the end. Radesh Soni is third dan in Taekwondo, but you don't know nunchucks. I've got probably 200 to 300 nunchucks videos on this channel. Go look them up, and they're all beginner based, and you'll learn so quickly. And Taekwondo has no weapons, which is why you didn't learn nunchucks. Taekwondo came from Shotokan and Ishinryu and Shorinryu, even if the young Korean masters won't tell you that. That's the real history. Taekwondo came from the Japanese and the Okinawan martial arts, but at some point, they tried to get rid of everything that had to do with the Japanese, because they hate the Japanese from the occupation of World War II. That's why you don't see a lot of those weapons unless you go to an old school Taekwondo school that still does the old pumse and the old, they have the bow staffs in the corner, and they're teaching, for a while they were teaching gomdo with the sword and all that. So you can do that. All right, yeah, Real Jack said he'll come back and watch again. Height and weight, I'm 6'1". I weighed this morning 232 pounds. So, Hobo, you can learn. I promise you. Everybody here can learn. Vawesh says he learns karate, but he has to reach brown level to learn weapons. No, you don't. Just don't tell your sensei that you're learning them. Learn them here. Yeah, Ridesh, it's Korean arts. Yeah, I understand. They want you to get good at the basics, kicks and punches and stuff before they start to teach you the weapons. I get that. That's cool. But you can still do it. In kilograms, I don't know. I'm real bad at that. We were just in Ireland and everybody kept asking me how many stone I was. I don't know how many stones I am. I know, got a lot of rocks up here. But cool. Vesh is also 6